So just want to talk to you about Homo Zapiens by Pelevin. In all, total honesty, I was not going to do a video about this because I didn't even feel that it was a book worth reviewing. So, but anyway, I decided to do it anyway because I do actually have some thoughts. If you're interested in Buddhism, give it a read because the whole concept is of Homo Zapiens is really interesting from a Buddhist perspective. If you're interested in sci-fi, give it a read because there's a lot of just kind of sci-fi stuff in there. And if you're interested in pop culture, give it a read because there's a lot of pop culture references. And if you're interested in religious kind of Babylonian Egyptian themes, give it a read because there's a lot of that in there too. Which is why I didn't like it, because it's just taking a lot of different products from the shelves, shoving it in a bowl, mixing it up and hoping for the best, and it wasn't the best. Some of those things could have been taken out, less is more. There was Darth Vader, Buddha, Babylon, and some sci-fi thing in the same chapter, even sentence sometimes. It's So I was confused. The idea of Homo Zapiens, very interesting one actually, which was near the beginning of the book. If it doesn't seem like your thing, but you're into Buddhism, I'm going to just explain that idea and give it to you in a nutshell, because that's a really interesting one. I do think that you should know it. So the idea is that with Buddhism, we surround ourselves with this reality, and that reality is called Maya. It's an illusion. That was taught in the Buddhist times. Now that was back when we didn't have TVs, phones, basically screens, and so nowadays we have screens. So we have a consciousness and we are observing everything that goes on in reality, and then in that illusion which we are observing, because it's our perceptions, we have screens, and on those screens is a secondary reality. So we're observing reality which is observing a screen. And that's a really interesting concept, and it's saying that actually nowadays, back in the Buddha's day, we looked around us and we saw that this was reality, this is reality. And now we look at a screen and we think that whatever's on the screen is reality. So we're actually surrounded by a reality. But we don't consider this reality to be the reality. We consider what's on the screen to be a reality. Which, whatever is on the screen is total bullshit because it's totally manipulated. The whole plot line of the book is about advertising, and it's about how the main character, Tatarsky, is in advertising, and he enters into this manipulative world which is designed to make people want the things that they see on the TV. And it uses these concepts of Buddhism and happiness, and saying that if you buy this teacup, you will find enlightenment. Which I knew that before I read the book, because I'm not a fan of advertising anyway. But it was interesting to read like that. But that's the idea of why it's called Homo Zapiens, because it's this generation that we are members of, that we have two consciousnesses. We have a consciousness which is in reality, and then whenever a TV is turned on, we have a consciousness as well, because we have to think how do I relate to the things around me? And then when we see something on a screen, we say, how do I feel about that? How is my opinion of that? And actually the opinions are all bullshit. The way you relate to reality is all bullshit, because you're always living in the now. So there is nothing else. There's no opinions. There's no fantasies. It's all a fantasy of your mind. And whatever you see on the TV, is another illusion inside that. So wake up. So anyway, the concept of the book is amazing. When I first read it, I thought it was going to be a bit like Ayn Rand, because you had this character who was going into a business, and that business was advertising. So it was a bit like Dagny Taggart when she goes into the railway industry in Atlas Shrugged. So I thought when I started reading it, this could be a bit Ayn Randy, in the sense that we have this lead character who's entering into this business world, and it seems really interesting. Then it went all sci-fi and Egyptian, and loads of references and stuff, and I got super confused and I couldn't follow it. And I read it because a friend recommended it, and I did finish it, and I got to the end, but to be honest I didn't understand the ending, and I kind of read through it really fast, because I just got pissed off with all of the mixed references in that I had to open up the internet and search for all the different references that were being mentioned, and it disrupts the flow of the book. So I realised that as a reader, I want something simple. And there's so many intellectual books, literary books around, that so many people praise. I want something simple. And so I'm glad that at the end of reading that I can admit that something like just a story, stripped back, just a story. And I don't think there's so much need for obscure references and digressions of trains of thought and things like that. So I think I did evolve as a writer from reading that, but I wouldn't recommend reading it anyway. I don't have any more thoughts about it really. The Buddhist side of it was interesting, like I said, but everything else I was not a fan. So, cool.